Hello everybody. Like many of you, I have been reading the news about Amazon assuming full creative control of James Bond. And I wanted to take a moment to mark what I think is the definitive end of the James Bond era. And what I mean by that is, it's pretty amazing to consider that Dr. No came out in 1962. And in 2025, although it has been a few years since No Time to Die came out, the James Bond movies, James Bond as a cultural institution, is just as relevant today as it was back when the first film came out. And that is truly remarkable. It really is a very unique thing in the world of cinema and culture, in my view. And until this point, Amazon obviously owned James Bond, which it acquired when it bought Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer. But Barbara Broccoli and Michael G. Wilson, although I know Michael stepped away, maintained creative control over the James Bond license, or the James Bond IP, meaning that movies could only get made, or the IP could only be deployed with Broccoli's say-so. And supposedly, Barbara was at loggerheads with the Amazon executives. And it's really funny because until that point, I had kind of wanted for a while for them to relinquish the rights so that we could just get some fresh, interesting uses of the character in cinema, on TV, etc. But when I read that article, seeing how Barbara was really just disgusted with how the Amazon executives and people she was interacting with wanted to deploy it, I really changed my tune, and I began to admire her quite a lot for resisting the pressure. Now, there's zero judgment from me because Amazon could have paid her $1 billion to relinquish control and it would still be worth it for them. So I'm sure that she got paid big time, and much as I would like to pretend that I would be, morally strong enough to resist that kind of advance, I'm just keeping it real. None of us would. So there's zero judgment in that sense. But what I'm just really lamenting is that now Amazon is going to destroy the IP. And it's kind of ironic, really, because the reason that we really are eager for more Bond, another Bond movie, who's going to be the next Bond actor, etc., is because for the whole history of the James Bond movies, the IP has been deployed in a very careful, cautious way. Like, we've had loads of video games and board games and stuff like that. But when it comes to movies, TV shows, etc., very cautious. And that really is one of the reasons that the IP is valued so highly, is that it's very popular and it's only deployed in very, very select circumstances. And it's not to say that every Bond movie is good, because there are lots of Bond movies that aren't that good in my view. But when a Bond movie gets released, it's still an event. It's a cinematic event. And I always want to go and see the new Bond movie at the cinema, it's a big deal. And unfortunately for us and for the IP, that is not something that Amazon is going to respect. When it comes to an institution like Amazon, there is absolutely zero incentive to do anything other than wring that IP for every cent they can, as quickly as they can. The way that corporations remunerate their executives is that they get paid more depending on how much value they can add for the shareholder. And what it basically means is make the share price go up by as much as possible by the end of the year, and that constitutes shareholder value, which means they'll get their bonus, etc. So in a situation where people are remunerated like that, all of the incentive for these people is for them to just create as much Bond-related content as they can in order to drive up the share price of Amazon. It's not like Albert Cubby Broccoli or Barbara Broccoli or Michael G. Wilson, who want the IP to be valuable 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now. There's no incentive for these people to make sure that the Bond IP is still valuable in 15, 20 years. And this is what Albert Broccoli meant when he said that temporary people should not be able to make permanent decisions. And it's just, to me, it feels like the end of an era. It's like this last vestige of the old school is just being destroyed. And it is pretty sad. And it's not to say that there won't be some good movies and like a cool TV show. Like, I'm sure there will be cool stuff that comes out, but in the long run, we will know that this was the moment at which James Bond became a source of content rather than a cinematic institution. And much in the same way that Disney kind of destroyed the MCU with Disney Plus, because every single thing they made was a hit. So they were like, well, let's just make more and more and more and more, and we'll have more and more hits. But alas, it didn't work like that. And when they spread themselves too thin, the quality took a nosedive and they're still trying to recover from having done that. That is what's going to happen with James Bond. I suspect there might be some sort of James Bond cinematic universe with spin-offs, and there might be a Felix Leiter origin story TV show, or, you know, something like that. And it is going to destroy the IP, I think. I have no confidence in Amazon whatsoever to do anything other than, like I said, wring that sponge completely dry of any value whatsoever. And so I just wanted to take this moment to raise a glass to our favorite British spy. It's not a vodka martini, but I am gonna shake it, not stir it. This is to you, Mr. Bond. Thank you for watching, and yeah, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.